Well, hello there. Welcome, guys. It's me, Stephen Billings, or, grammatically correct. It's I, Stephen Billings.
Nice,
and
nice. Keeping the grammar.
I don't really care about grammar, but
You know what you realize as you get older, Steven? It really doesn't matter.
does it really
All that grammar
fucking matter?
all that grammar practice they made you do in elementary school and middle school and high school. It really doesn't matter because most people don't talk grammatically correct.
Well, that
So,
and let me
eh,
say this. Do you understand me when I say it's me, Stephen Billings? If
yes.
there's no breakdown of communication, it doesn't matter. Does it really matter?
Yeah, they
Yeah.
they really don't. Yeah, when it comes to common vernacular, when it comes to slang, when it comes to
Yeah.
communication, I think it's just best to talk with someone so that they understand you the clearest. They
Sure.
may not be the most grammatically correct or when it comes to the English language, but um, it works. Whatever works, works.
Well, you know
But
what's correct
yes,
is Blu-rays.
yes, it is.
Blu-rays, there's nothing incorrect about them. They're so awesome that we're going to talk about them today.
Yes, we are. We got to
Um,
talk about some imprint releases that just came out this past March. We are a little behind, but we do want to talk about some of these films. And some of these films we already had talked about during probably one of our episodes of the podcast. But we wanted to come on here and kind of show off the stuff we got from Imprint. I got two movies to show off. Steven's got two movies to show off. Steven, do you want to go first?
sure. Um, the first one we got here is I think one of the big ones from this bundle, which this bundle March bundle also included a couple other films. The couple other films that we won't be talking about is Little Buddha, and I think The House of Spirits is two other ones from this month. But we have the four other releases to talk about here. So the first one I'll bring up is I think one of the big ones of the bundle. I think was kind of the standout, and that's Adrian Lynn's Jacob's Ladder, starring Tim Robbins. Um, Vietnam vet gets at the beginning gets killed in action, or
Oh, don't give it away now.
I guess he's. I mean, is it suspected? I don't know. Is that the twist? I didn't
Yeah,
know that. Is
yeah,
that
don't give away any of the plot of that movie just because it's so unique. But he is a Vietnam vet dealing with PTSD. That's kind of one of the big parts of that movie,
sure?
kind of
Yeah, yeah,
the
yeah,
gist of that
yeah.
movie. And he's like seeing visions and he's seeing things and having PTSD nightmares and stuff. Um, it's a great film.
Yeah.
And I remember mentioning um when this was announced that I was hoping we would get some new special features or something like that because the Blu-ray that we had here has been around for a very long time and didn't have much in the way of special features. So I'm happy to report that it did get new stuff, right?
Yes, yes. So yeah, Jacob's Ladder here. Here, let me before I get to the features. Here's the slip box here, slip case, however the kids say it. Um, and here's the inner artwork here. There, you got nice close up of Tim Robbins on the inside. And yes, we did get a lot of good new features here. We do get, of course, archival stuff as well. But the few main things we get here, we get commentary with Adrian Lynn. We did get a couple people we know. Well, one of them we talked to, Alexandra Hella Nicholas did a kind of run through on this film, talking kind of about some of the spiritual elements um, of the film and kind of doing an overall analysis of the film. And then the one she likes, the guy she likes to do a lot of work with, Josh Nelson, also did a feature on here, kind of talking about the Vietnam elements specifically on this film, because he felt like they kind of get overlooked in the movie. That the movie does hang a lot on the spiritualism, that the PTSD stuff, but not so much on the Vietnam era, stuff. It kind of gets overlooked a little bit in the movie. So yeah, you get a couple features like that, and yeah, it's a really solid disc here. There's also some locations. There's a locations feature, and then we also get, which I liked. It was an audio interview with the screenwriter, Bruce Joel Rubin. He gives really interesting insight to how he came up with the idea for the story, and and where that all kind of spawned from. And yeah, it's a really, really solid disc. I've never owned the film before, so I never was very aware of how the old Blu-rays or DVDs were. So yeah, this is really good.
Yeah, I've never owned the old disc either. I've seen it in stores plenty of times. They've re-released it a couple of times with just like different artwork, but it's the same old disc. Unfortunately, from what I've read, that the picture quality on that release is very similar to what was on the older releases,
Okay.
specifically the Studio Canal one in 2010. I think it's from the same master. So they didn't really go back and do any type of new remastering or anything like that. So it's probably going to look very similar to what you've already owned before. But the new special features do help bolster that release. I think.
Yeah.
It's yeah. You like you said, there's new video essays by Alexandra Helen Nicholas, as well as Josh Nelson. I think there's a new audio commentary in there as well, and as well as an audio commentary from Adrian Lin too. And then plus like small archival stuff and
Yeah.
whatnot. Um, yeah, it's a really solid, like, good
It's
movie. I really like it a
it's a
lot.
good movie. It's very thought provoking. I mean, it can be very scary at times. It's a very
There's a
surreal.
horrific surreal
Yeah,
element to it.
yeah.
Uh,
And it kind of the best way I can describe it is it's nightmarish. It's got nightmarish imagery that um can get under your skin a little bit at times.
yeah,
So
and
yeah,
it's a bit of a different work from Adrian Lin because every time we bring up Adrian Lin, I always think of like his
sex films.
his
Like
yeah his like erotic thrillers.
yeah,
Like he did Indecent Proposal, Fatal Attraction, 9.5 Weeks,
yeah.
a Flashdance, which is not I have
Flashdance,
yeah, which is something
a dance
completely
movie.
different, but, like, that was his thing, like and he did Unfaithful, and then he just did after coming out of a 20-year hiatus, he did that movie Deep Water with, Ben Affleck and Ana de Armas,
Ah,
which is
okay.
another kind of erotic throwback thriller that I think is streaming on Hulu
Yes.
currently, or well, at least it was. That came out, I think, like last year. What is interesting about that movie, completely aside here, going off here, I'm pretty sure they met while making that movie, had a relationship, got out of a relationship. I'm talking about Ben Affleck and Ana de Armas, and then that movie came out, all in that span of time. All in that span of time. And then Ben Affleck is now married to Jennifer Lopez. Yeah,
Then he went way back and went back to
yeah,
the
talk about a
relationship he
throwback. Talk
yeah,
about a throwback.
yeah.
But speaking of, I guess, throwbacks, let's go back to
Whoa.
2003 with the film that I have is "I'll sleep when I'm dead," which is a phrase I've often
I was
said to
gonna say that
myself.
fits you perfectly.
Yeah, I'll
Yeah.
sleep when I'm dead. And this is a film by Mike Hodges, who just recently passed away. Mike Hodges is the director of Groupier, which was
Yes.
put out by Arrow Video. He also directed Get Carter, which I think was one of his earliest, maybe his first film. I'd have to look that up. But yeah, he was a great British film director, really solid director in himself. This, I think, was his ninth film that he directed. So here's the front here. That's starring Clive Owen, Charlotte Rampling, Jonathan Rhys-Meyers, and Malcolm McDowell. And this film is an interesting character study of a man portrayed by Clive Owen, who used to be this kind of big time local gangster type of guy. And then he has since left that world and has kind of gone off and got himself out of that game. But he's brought back into that game when his brother is found dead. And he wants to find out what happened to him. Yet again, this movie does something a la Alfred Hitchcock, where we see how the brother dies and we know how it happens, but the Clive Owen character doesn't know how it happens, and he's trying to figure it out. So we're watching him trying to piece things together, even though we already know the answer to all of his questions. So there's that element to it. So it's a much more low key, kind of slow moving film, dramatic film in that regard. Great, outstanding supporting cast in here, and Charlotte, as well as Malcolm McDowell, who plays a really nasty role in this film. But before I open it up here, I just want to go spin it all around on the back, and you do get a list of special features. And the special features, once again, we do have some, I think, new stuff as well as old stuff, or maybe just old stuff. We do get an audio commentary by director Mike Hodges and writer Trevor Preston, and then Mike Hodges and "I'll Sleep When I'm Dead" documentary. Now, this was a 27-minute like behind the scenes making of documentary done by the BBC. I'm assuming while the film was being made, so circa early 2000s, I guess. And it's very much like kind of like interviewing like the Clive Owen, interviewing Mike Hodges, interviewing other actors and actresses who partook in the film, and you see certain scenes being made and being shot and whatnot, and Mike Hodges talking about the movie. So that was really fascinating. As well as on here, there's two deleted scenes, one with optional commentary by Mike Hodges and Trevor Preston, and then that all important theatrical trailer. But as you can see here, here's some artwork. And then opening up on the inside, you do get inner artwork too. Here is the disc, and then here is the inner artwork, which is just Clive Owen with um like he's been living in the woods, so he's got one of those like I've been living in the woods recluse beards going on
Okay.
in this
All
movie.
right. Cool.
so,
I wear
so you
I
can
wear
just tell
one.
he's been on it for a while. He's
I wear
okay.
one of them all the time. Yeah.
It's a style. It's
Yeah.
a style.
Yeah.
But yeah, I really like this film a lot. I got really into Mike Hodges' work. Unfortunately, as right before he passed away, because a lot of his stuff has been getting really, really good Blu-ray and 4K releases right now. So that is, I'll Sleep When I'm Dead. This is number 206. People were interested in how many releases uh, Imprint's up to so far. They're up way past 206. I can tell you that. Uh,
Yeah, they put a lot of box sets out. So
yeah. So
yeah.
what do you have next, Steven?
Well, the last other film I got picked up from them is a film called Return to Paradise, and this one really stuck with me. I wouldn't consider it to be like a really high grade film, but I thought that the situation that goes on in this film is I love films that are about like moral quandaries, like where people have to make really tough choices, and in this case, you have these three friends. One played by Joaquin Phoenix, the other played by Vince Vaughn, and then the third friend's played by, oh man, his name's not listed.
Of course, it's not. Of course, he's
Of
not.
course,
He's only the most important part of the movie.
well, he's not the middle friend. But the two other friends are the main characters, really.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I think it's David Conrad,
Okay,
maybe who it is.
but
But Jada Pinkett Smith's also in the movie. Vera Farmiga is in the movie in a small role, and Anne Heche is in the movie in
yeah,
a much bigger role.
bit bigger. She plays a lawyer who is representing the Joaquin Phoenix character. What happens is they all go. Trying to remember which country it is. Malaysia. They all go to Malaysia on like a vacation, and the three guys and Joaquin Phoenix decides to stay back. They had gotten some, like, I think just marijuana, just like drug, just pot, or smoking and stuff like that. He stayed back. They went back to America. Come to find out, some time later, he had never left because he was imprisoned for getting caught with the drugs. And in that country, they have a lot harsher drug, penalties, and so he was on the verge of being put to death for having, marijuana. So Anne Heche plays a lawyer representing him and coming back to try to make a deal with the two other guys. And the deal is that you come back and face persecution, which they think is going to be like 5 years in jail.
Yeah.
To save their friend from being
Being
killed.
killed. Yeah.
Yeah.
And
So
yeah, they have to make the moral decision really of whether they want to help their friend or just continue living their lives.
yeah.
Because they are responsible, because I think they all went in and buying the drugs or or procuring the drugs and whatnot.
Yeah.
And so they have to figure out what they're going to do. It's a very interesting movie. Um, yeah, I had never heard of it until actually it was announced that Imprint was putting it out. So I was very curious about how it was going to go.
Well,
Um,
it's from a director, and his name's Joseph Rubin. And
yes.
he, his career is really interesting. He's got an array of different types of films that a lot of them I like. In '87, he did a film called The Stepfather, which is a great little horror movie. He did Sleeping with the Enemy. He did The Good Son with Macaulay Culkin.
Oh yeah, what a dark and twisted movie that is.
Yeah.
I think that has a Blu-ray out now.
It does.
from
Uh,
someone.
I think it's Kino. Um, that he did Money Train with Wesley Snipes and Woody Harrelson. Then after that, he did this. He did this film, and then he did a movie called The Forgotten. I don't know if you ever seen The Forgotten with
I've
Julianne
not.
Moore. Uh, it's a DVD I have. It's like kind of like a weird like kind of extraterrestrial sci-fi kind of thing. Um, Not too bad. I think it's a little underrated. It's not great, but it's a little underrated. So yeah, I mean, he's done a lot of interesting things in his career, and this one was, I think, based off the features. This doesn't have a. I would say that's the one thing that's a downside of this release. Not a lot of features. They do a couple new features. This does have a new 4K scan, which is pretty awesome. So it looks great, but there are only really new features on here, and then the rest is some archival interviews with the cast. We got Force uh, Force Majeure directing Return to Paradise, interview with director Joseph Rubin, and then The Godless Place scoring Return to Paradise. So you get a interview with the composer, and yeah, it's. I listened to the full director one, and then I listened to part of the composer one, and just because of time, I didn't have time to finish it. But it's interesting to see how they're, especially the composer, how his thought process of how he wanted to incorporate Malaysian style music into it at certain points, and like things like that. It's fun to get into the process of certain people's parts of the movie making experience. So not a lot here, but the movie itself is, I think, interesting enough for a pickup because very good actors, of course, in this. Joaquin Phoenix is an earlier role for him. He's really great, and another, of course, a dramatic role for Vince Vaughn that you don't see a lot of. He's tried to go back in that direction a little bit later on in his career, but and of course, the late Anne Hirsch, in the small role she kind of has, she's solid. I think when we talked about this movie on the show, we kind of felt like her part in the movie was maybe a little bit unnecessary.
No, it's an important part. There is
It's
I don't want to say
I'm saying
anything.
it's the fact that there's a relationship.
Oh yeah. There is a relationship aspect
Yeah,
between one of these friends and her that is kind of extra and unnecessary,
yeah.
but that just happens to
I mean,
fall
the
into
fact that
movies
she's a lawyer
sometimes.
and that's important. That's an important part. But
Right.
they
Like
tacked on the
her actual
relationship.
role. Yeah.
You
They
know,
just add that little extra relationship with sometimes you don't need. Like I don't need a
yeah.
romantic tryst happening in the middle of this like heightened dramatic
They think
time.
it makes it even more melodramatic or something. And I'm
Yes.
like, that's not, but it's not
It makes
realistic.
it a little more Hollywood if you want, if you ask me.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, so yeah, there is yeah, I did like the movie. I'll say this, I did like the movie. I'm glad it does come with a new like 4K restoration and stuff like that. That's nice to see. It is kind of a drab looking movie anyways, so I don't know if that would necessarily hyped it up for anyone, but yeah, it's a solid movie. I would recommend it to people. But do you want to transition to my next one?
I
Uh,
guess.
yeah, because I'm actually around the same time. Uh, I guess time-wise, because this movie came out in 1995, and this is the movie Georgia, starring Jennifer Jason Leigh. And this is an interesting film because I've been recently getting into a lot of older Jennifer Jason Leigh films that aren't Fast Times at Ridgemont High, because that's kind of only the only film I had seen from her that was from her younger, her younger acting career. And she did so much more work that we've been getting into because of a lot of the stuff we've been covering on the podcast. And this is one of them. Currently the Criterion channel, as of this recording, has a whole bunch of her work on there in a Jennifer Jason Leigh collection. I think this film is actually on there. So you can watch it or you can get this really solid looking Blu-ray from Imprint as well. So here is obviously the cover featuring Jennifer Jason Leigh, and the plot of this film is an interesting, yet again, another character study. Um, Jennifer Jason Leigh plays a character in this film who his name is Sadie. You think her name is Georgia, but it's not. Georgia is her older, more successful, more well put together sister, who's also a very popular, like kind of folk country music artist. And Sadie, portrayed by Jennifer Jason Leigh, she has musical talent as well, but she's like completely different than her sister. Not only when it comes to the type of music that she's getting in, that she sings, and the type of performance that she does, but also just from the type of um her lifestyle is extremely rough. She gets into things like alcohol and drug abuse and money problems and all this kind of stuff, and she's kind of the black sheep of the family, and this film is really delves into all of those things in her life. So it's one of those types of films where it's someone having existential crisis after existential crisis. But as you can see, here is the slip. There's the slip box here. There's the side where everything comes out, and it just opens up like so, like all of them do. And you do get other artwork here, which is really nice. That's obviously Jennifer Jason Leigh, and that's the sister Georgia character portrayed by Mayor Winningham. Um, so that's both of them on the cover. And then on the back, you get the special features. And there is a new special feature actually on here as well. And unfortunately, when it comes to picture quality, I would say for both I'll Sleep When I'm Dead and this one, they're both taken from older masters. I believe I'll Sleep When I'm Dead was taken from an older Paramount master, so it doesn't look great. It probably would have looked a heck of a lot better if it was a new 2K or 4K master. This obviously the same way, but at least these movies are in HD on Blu-ray discs and whatnot. But in terms of special features, we do get an audio commentary by film historians Brian Reisman and Max Every. That's new from 2023. The Flip Side of the Static, an interview with actor John Doe. That's new from 2023. And I wanted to bring that up specifically because it is 45 minutes long. That's why. And it's critic Brian Reisman is interviewing John Doe, who was the founder of the punk rock band X, who has an important part in the movie. And also it talks about this. It talks about the movie. It talks about Ulu Grossbard, who is the director of the film. And Ulu Grossbard directed another film, Stephen, that I know um, that you are familiar with. I am familiar with because it has gotten a Blu-ray release in the time that we've been doing the podcast, and that is the movie. That movie with Dustin Hoffman, one from the 70s, Straight Time.
Yeah.
Straight Time, which got a Warner Archive release, was it last year, or the year before, something like that. He directed that film, and that's the only other film of his that I have seen. So I want to make mention of that. But when it comes to this film here, I thought he did a really solid job. I thought it was a really solid dramatic performance by Jennifer Jason Leigh, who I'm learning is just a really kind of powerhouse of an actress in her time. Really fantastic. There's other archival interviews on here, one by Jennifer Jason Leigh, one by Mare Winningham, another older one from John Doe, and then from writer Barbara Turner. And then I talked about the commentary already. So let me pop this open to show you what it looks like on the inside. I think we do have more inner artwork. There's the disc. And then inner artwork, which I think is just Jennifer Jason Leigh, like probably during one of the concert scenes in the movie. Oh no, it's just her sitting. There she is.
Nice.
So it's kind of, I think, just a still from the movie, I would assume. Similar to I'll Sleep When I'm Dead.
All right.
Yeah, and this is imprint number 208. Anyone's keeping track at home. I don't know. I like the fact that they're numbered. Do you like that, Steven?
Everybody likes that. Everybody likes the numbers. Of course they do. But yeah, I think March's slate was pretty solid. I would I don't think I connected with I'll Sleep When I'm Dead like you did. I thought it was a little maybe. I mean, I love Clive Owen, but I don't think I was.
Yeah, there is a revenge factor to the movie that also I kind of liked as well. I'm a sucker kind of for revenge
Well,
movies.
I like that too. I don't know. I felt like the movie was a little bit on the slow side for me. But all right. Well, that's it. That's it for this little imprint overview of some March titles. We should have April stuff to talk about here short, and then we can go over them and do the April stuff. So, but thanks everybody for watching. Please go subscribe to the podcast, Chasing Labels, on all the main kind of podcasting platforms, whether it be Apple Podcast or Stitcher, Spotify. And then, of course, please subscribe to this channel. Keep up with us. We do have our video interviews from our Chasing Labels episodes. And, of course, go to Imprint Films on the internet here and go check out what they got there. You can, of course, find a lot of their stuff at other outlets like Diabolic DVD, I think, has some stuff. Orbit DVD, of course, the place that we like to shop, has tons of their stuff. And that is it for this Imprint review. Thank you guys, and we'll see you next time.